I'm going to start by quickly showing you the types of data you can collect with people on the islands. You might not even need this video. I think a lot of it is self-explanatory and you can just start clicking around and work it out for yourself. There is a visitor centre which has plenty of information if you want to go there. So I am just going to find a person, Tara, who is not happy. However, she does have a pet. I'm going to guess that's a mouse. So we can see some information about Tara. We can actually see her whole life story if we're interested in that. But we're probably mostly interested in giving her some tasks to do so we can collect some information from her. However, this is designed to mimic a real study, so we have to get her consent first. If she doesn't give her consent, then you can't talk to her and you have to move on to the next person. So let's ask her for consent. Oh, okay. So she's declined, so there's not really much we can do about that. You obviously can't include someone in a study if they have declined. I did talk to someone earlier, so I'm going to go to my one and only contact, Daniel, because he said that he would participate. Now, when you click into a person, I have a little bit of extra information here because I've already spoken to him. He consented to be in my study, and then I made him go for a run. So once you ask somebody to do something for you, it will show up here. So all the different things that we can get someone to do for us are listed in these categories down here. You can give them interventions. So if you would like to do some kind of randomized controlled trial, that's completely fine. So if you were interested in running, maybe you're also interested in the effect of drugs or drinks, maybe just energy drinks or caffeinated drinks, or maybe sports drinks, although really I think they're for hydration, not for energy. So you can look through all the list of interventions if you like, and then you can also look at the things you can get them to do. Now, you don't have to do an experimental study. You could just do a comparison of, say, young people. Daniel's 22, I think. Yeah. So you could do a comparison of running speed with age and get people to run 100 meters from ages whatever up to 100. That would be completely fine too. So you could do an observational study or you could do an experimental study. So the running is under the exercise, and you can see there's a bunch of things you can get people to do. You can also do coordination tests. There's cognition tests, and these are real cognition tests that are used by actual researchers doing actual research. So if you search the mini cog test online, you can probably find exactly what the questions are for the mini cognition test. Or you could do one of these sort of, I think these are used if you're assessing dementia patients. I'm not sure, but there are some other sort of tests that you can get people to do. This would probably depend on your population of interest. There's a whole lot of blood tests, probably more of interest to medical students, and there's some physiology. You can go poking through their tax records and their report cards. I'm not quite sure what your research question would be there, but sure, have a look at it if you like. You can also give them a survey. Now, if you don't set up the survey, this will not show up for you. So I'm going to quickly show you how to set up the survey. But before I go there, there's one last thing I want to show you before I move off this page, and that is the chat. Now, I had a quick chat with Daniel earlier, and he was a bit sad and I wasn't helping, so I thought the ethical thing to do would be to stop talking with him. However, you can keep chatting to them and you can try out questions that you can potentially put on a questionnaire so that you don't have to ask them in chat every time. So let's have a look at how we go about doing a survey or a questionnaire. If you go to contacts, you'll see there's an option here for survey. Now, the survey means preset questions. If you haven't got any questions ticked off, then the survey will not show up as an option for something you can give to your people. So if you click on a person and you don't see the survey option, it's because you probably don't have any questions selected. You can see the range of questions here. Obviously, you don't want to ask every question, but what would you do with it? That's too much information. You need to ask the questions that you need to answer your research question. The questionnaire tool allows you to add your own questions. However, I recommend this is what you try out first in chat, because the Islanders can't answer everything. They can answer very specific questions if you phrase them in exactly the right way. So you can ask them how many hours of television they watch each day, but you might have to check that the way you're phrasing that will actually work. So I would use the chat function first, and then if it works, add it in here. And then this will show up as an option when you look at your people. So there's a lot of flexibility in what we can do with people on the islands. But there is an added layer of complexity in that we have a whole community to work with. So often with student projects, first of all, a lot of student projects don't need people at all. There's so many different things that you can look at, and I'm sure you've looked at some of the example topics. So there's plenty of stuff that you can do that do not involve people. For the projects that involve people, often students are interested in other students. So they go and stand outside the library with I don't know, an iPad or a clipboard if you're going old school, and just ask people to participate. And that's just an ad hoc sample or a convenient sample of people. If we are on the islands, we actually have access to everyone. So then we get to think about if we theoretically were in some kind of position of authority or research capability, and we actually could get lists of people that lived in towns and did certain jobs, who would we be interested in? What would be the most efficient way to find them? So if I go to Hoffen, you'll see that we have a whole lot of houses. So you can go door to door asking people to do a study for you. It's probably the most inefficient way to do it. And in real life, I don't know if it still gets done. It was done, the last time I had someone come to my door to do a survey was probably 10 years ago. So I don't even know if this gets done anymore. But in the olden days, people actually did walk door to door doing consumer research. So you can find people this way. You can go to the town hall and look at the births, deaths, and marriages. So if you were only interested in people who were born in a particular year, then you could look at that, or you could do an immigration study. Nice. What records do they have? The office. Oh, okay, so you can see how wealthy the town is. Michael, who developed the islands, is always adding new stuff in, so I don't know everything that's in here. If you were interested in doing a study, say, on healthy eating in primary school, then you could go to the school and you could find students in the particular year level you were interested in. A couple more. What do we have in the Bureau? Oh, employment. So if you're interested in lumberjacks, I think we're all interested in lumberjacks. You can get a list of lumberjacks here and do a study on them. Oh, no, I wanted to go back to Hoffen. So I chose Hoffen because it's a large town. This is the population at the top. There's one large town on each island from memory, and the large towns have a university and they also have a hospital. And the smaller towns, I think, all have clinics. Newspapers are new, police stations are a bit new, so you'll have to see how you can find people. So the point of this is you have to decide who is of interest in your study. And once you've narrowed down who is your population of interest, how are you going to sample them? And you want to do something that's relatively efficient, but you also want to be unbiased. So if you only chose lumberjacks from Hoffen, would the results be applicable to lumberjacks down near this volcano? I'm going to guess that lumberjacks in Hoffen have got different concerns from lumberjacks who work down here. So you can think about those sorts of issues when you're designing your study. Obviously, this is just a student project. You don't have to go too in depth, but I think it does add a little bit of realism, and to me, it makes it a little bit more fun if you get to think about all these things. Finally, some of you may find this for yourself. So just for equity, I'll make it known that this is here. We have the Academy, and you can see projects from other students from other universities. You cannot do exactly what somebody else has done, but if you're feeling quite anxious about doing the project, then you could look at somebody else's project just to get an idea of something that you could do. So this person has done higher order brain processing randomized placebo-controlled trial. So I don't know if this was a first year subject or what the context is. These will be all different types of students. They might be medical students, I don't know. But they're roughly following the same process that we're following, but obviously you'll need to follow the criteria and the guidance that I have given you for our specific subject, rather than copying what someone has done from a different university. But it is there if you're having trouble understanding what we're doing. Okay, that's about it. If you've got any questions, then just post them to the forum, ask me after lectures, ask me in the seminar, ask me in the workshops. The tutors will try to help you out at all. They're probably not quite as familiar with the islands as they won't have seen it before, as far as I know, but I'm sure that they're very intelligent and can help you troubleshoot any problems that you have. But for a lot of this, I would suggest just trying it out. Work out what you want to do. What's your research question that you're going to try and answer? What's the best way to answer it? And then have a chat with me or one of the tutors to see if it looks like a workable project. And that's it.